Look, just give me a broad
Thanks
view
for
on
having me.
where you see the state of the world and the investment landscape right now, particularly through the lens of the Middle East. How have Gulf stocks performed through this August volatility? And when you assess the outlook, what's in store for the rest of the year?
So the Middle East and the GCC has actually held up rather well over the summer period. The start of the year was a weak one. We saw the GCC lose some ground, but we've seen a nice recovery over the past couple of months. Overall, the GCC is still lagging behind the rest of the world. We've seen a tremendously strong performance out of developed markets, the US especially, and certainly the GCC has been lagging behind that. But in terms of what we've seen over the summer, I think it's a very encouraging performance we've seen, and I think it sets us up well for the rest of the year. We continue to have a healthy economic backdrop, very resilient investor appetite, and valuations and earnings are both supportive as well.
I wanted to ask you about valuations in particular. Where do you see the best opportunities right now, given the current macro trends and the pricing of some of the stocks that we see in the region right now?
So valuation-wise, if you look at the region in aggregate, it is trading more or less in line with its long-term average. So I would say it's a very reasonable level to be at. But digging a bit below the surface, you'll see that Saudi Arabia is, as usual, a little bit richly valued. But outside of Saudi, the market is trading at a discount to its long-term average. In fact, in absolute PE terms, if you're looking at forward PE multiples, they're trading at really the bottom end of the range that we've seen since the global financial crisis. So from a valuation perspective, outside of Saudi Arabia, the GCC is looking very attractive. I wouldn't say that necessarily means Saudi Arabia is looking unattractive. It is trading at neutral levels valuation-wise, but growth remains resilient. And as you were mentioning earlier, the IPO pipeline remains very robust. So it's always been a market that has traded richly. It is a market that has deserved that premium to its neighbors in the region. And we see current levels as actually being quite constructive overall, not a source for concern.
Okay, Fahd, can I ask you about this, though, because there's been some recent reporting by Bloomberg that I want your reaction to. Valuations are rich compared to global peers, according to some of the analysis that our colleagues have done. They say Saudi Arabia's Aqua Power, for example, this is the kingdom's third largest listed firm, trades 136 times forward earnings. And then over here in the UAE, Abu Dhabi National Energy, or TAQA, has a trailing price to earnings ratio higher than Microsoft or Apple. So how do you explain that?
There's definitely some level of speculation that you are seeing, not just in GCC equities. I think you can find it in broader global markets as well. And certainly these individual stocks aren't reflective of the valuations that you're seeing the rest of the market trading at. They have accounted for a decent proportion of gains that we've seen over the course of the last few months. But by and large, we are seeing fairly broad-based gains across the region. And I think what's important for us is that the majority of stocks are really trading at much more reasonable levels. And that's really where our focus and attention would lie.